And welcome to the IDP Show Live. I am one of your hosts today, Jake Kohlhagen, joined by the infamous, the amazing, one of my best friends, Mr. Boobam. Jeff, how are you, good sir?
Excellent. And yourself?
Oh gosh, I couldn't be any better. Get to do episode 2 here of Start Sit. I get to be joined by someone as smart and amazing as you. And you know what? We're sneaking up on fantasy playoffs, and I actually got some teams that are going to make it. So feel pretty good overall. How about you guys?
Nothing better than having teams in the hunt, right?
Yes. What makes this all worthwhile, makes this all worthwhile. So, and to get our teams into the hunt, we have to make the right lineup decisions. So, we got a few questions already today lined up here. So, we'll jump into some of those. But for everyone else, I see we got a handful of people jumping in already. Welcome, everybody. Get your questions into the chat. You'll get input from me and Jeff. So, I'll give you the wrong advice. Jeff will correct you and get you on the right path. And then you know what? You'll win your week, and we'll all have a great weekend to go into Thanksgiving with something to be thankful for. So, all right, let's jump into it with our first question from Scott from the site from idpshow.com. Which Kansas City linebacker, Willie Gay or Leo Chenal? You want to jump on this one, Jeff?
I have always been a Chanel fan ever since being a Badger. He just seems to be always in the right spot. He's been just like lighting it up the last few weeks. Willie Gay seems to be more of the splash play guy, but if it's a tackle heavy league, I'm more of a fan of Chanel myself. But
Yeah, I think that's spot on. And I wonder if your Badger bias would show through on there, but it did. But I think it's the right bias that we need on this one too as well. Chenal is definitely, I think, the guy who's going to have the safer floor. If you got some really wacky scoring, right, like really super light tackling, but it's all about sacks or picks or pass defended. Yeah, Gay is definitely going to be the one who's got the better, I think, overall scenario in terms of your lineup production there. But yeah, I think if you're just all things equal, I'm Chenal pretty easily over Gay at this point based on what they've shown us. All right. Zach's got a couple for us from the site here. So tackle wise, rest of the season, Marquise Bell, Javon Holland, or Jamal Adams. You want to start again, Jeff?
sure, I'm all in on Holland. He's grading out PFF wise as one of the best safeties in the league. Jamal Adams is more name at this point. It'll probably take a week or two before he's injured, and we'll be talking about Julian Love again. So I did have a write up about Bell a few weeks ago in my start or pickup league or for waiver wire. It's kind of a cheat code, but he's been kind of a boomer bust. So if you're looking at like a needing a home run, probably Bell is probably your better option. But high floor, high volume, I'm going to go Holland here.
Yeah, I think I like Holland as well, just by a little bit. Marquise Bell was somebody I was really excited about, especially the platform cheat code, right? Like my favorite platform to play on is Reality Sports Online, and he was listed as a safety there. And if I could plug in a guy who's taken 90% snaps at linebacker as my safety, that was great. However, yeah, that linebacker room has shifted. I think they just signed Evans or they promoted him up off the practice squad. I'm blanking here now, but yeah, Evans is likely to be in the mix. Rashawn Evans, that is for everyone out there. Yeah, I think Bell is clearly out completely for me. Then between Holland and Adams, I tackle wise still probably leans slightly Holland because Adams has been playing really good alignment. He's got 4+ games of 60+ snaps, nearly 50% in the box. But his tackle floor stayed a little lower. I guess he's 6-1 games, 7, but then 3-5. He also has 8 missed tackles in the last 4 games too. So maybe some opportunity to have more, but I mean, it also means he's leaving stuff out on the field there, and we don't like that. So I think I lean Holland slightly over Adams, but I do wonder when Adams is going to get hurt again because it just feels like that's the annual tradition of IDP football. So.
And multiple times in one season, so it's kind of like a bonus. So if you got that.
It's Christmas. Woo! Zach had one more for us. Keyshawn Nixon with in Green Bay. He's got the duties for cornerback and kick return. What are our thoughts there? So I'm going to jump on this one if that's all right, because I actually wrote up Keyshawn Nixon this offseason for the IDPshow.com for these exact reasons. Last week, he finally got a real heavy dosage of kick return duties as well in that matchup where he actually got a chance to return enough of them. I don't know if that was Pittsburgh's intention in their game planning, or if Green Bay finally said go ahead and have at it. But yeah, I mean, he's getting a bulk of his snaps from the slot, which is ideal for cornerback tackle floors. If he's going to get the chance to actually return 2 or 3 kicks a game and add somewhere, between 50 to 75 yards in terms of return yardage based on your scoring, that could be a nice chunk of points too. So I like him moving forward. I think he's going to have those opportunities. The biggest thing is will he have continued increased floor from the return duty? So, Jeff, as a Green Bay man, what are your thoughts?
I was just going to ask you, do you think the way the season's trending right now for the Packers that they're going to take a few more chances and like maybe instead of like fair catch or something like that, they're going to take a few more chances and just kind of like see what they can just to be an exciting team. I kind of like you said, I like him going forward. I think he's especially in leagues that reward for return yards. I think he's pretty much a cheat code in that regard.
Right. Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I mean, I think the thing up to this point or up to last week is he was pretty limited in his return duties. I'm just looking here. Like, he had another game against Detroit where he had 5 returns. But otherwise there's games where he has 0 returns. But he's getting a couple every game. So yeah, I think you got to be firing him up, especially in cornerback required leagues. But like I said, it really boils down to what does your league offer in terms of scoring. So
I kind of like him as
yardage.
a DB3 flex option. If you're starting multiple guys, I probably wouldn't want him rolling out as my 1 or 2. But if I have a flex, or especially through the bye weeks, he's kind of if you need a home run in a lineup during a week, he might be that lottery ticket you need.
Yep. So, all right. Well, we got a handful of questions here. Let's jump into them. First one from the Black Frequency podcast. Oh, I see a second. Landon Roberts or Kenneth Walker, but he caught himself and updated it. Landon Roberts or Kenneth Murray. I mean, that would be like a super flex where it's like you can start offense or IDP. So, I mean,
right up your alley.
I think Black Frequency podcast. I think you just created a new style league for us. So, but to your actual question here, guys, Landon Roberts or Kenneth Murray. Jeff, do you got a quick gut feeling on that one?
I think Landon Roberts has that linebacker 1 role in Pittsburgh kind of nailed down, especially with everyone dropping like flies. It's probably his week to drop. I see that they added Mykal Walker this week. Yep. That might put a little water on the fire of Mark Robinson, so I would kind of be hesitant about them. So I think Walker and Robinson are going to kind of split duties, where I think Roberts is the linebacker to own there. Murray's been a great rebound story. Like, he was kind of a high draft pick, a lot of capital. He just never really came to fruition, but now finally this year he's starting to put it together. I'm going to lean I'm going to lean Roberts this week. I just don't think that the Packers offer enough offensive firepower against Murray to sustain a lot of drives. And I just think that Roberts he's going to ball out this week.
Yeah. So I think that's a great take. I guess to back it up a little bit, Landon Roberts, I think, is going to have a great tackle floor. I'm very confident that he'll be out there first and second downs in those run-heavy scripts or situations. And he's shown that he can be a great defensive run stopper. So I think he delivers in that sense. I do wonder if he comes off the field on third downs for Mykal Walker, just based on some of the practice reports. But I think, again, he's going to pile up enough stats tackle-wise. And Pittsburgh, their matchup this week against the Cleveland Browns is I got it as a 30th. Yeah, it's second best or third best for me in my rankings, but it's a top matchup to pursue. Whereas for the Los Angeles Chargers, that's a bottom third matchup against Green Bay for linebacker scoring wise right now. I do like Murray better than Roberts rest of season. But I think in this situation, what we're talking about right here this week, Roberts is probably the play, especially if all things are considered equal in scoring. If it's tackle heavy, it definitely leans to Roberts' side at that point. But it's a close one because I do like what Murray's been able to do this season, and I think that he adds a little bit more most likely being out there more consistently on third downs as well. All right, then Matthew, guys, one linebacker slot he wants to know: Drew Tranquill, Bobby Wagner, or Levante David. That is a good one. I got to take a look at my lineups here quick. I don't know if you got a gut feeling on that one right away, Jeff. Otherwise,
I do. It's a tough spot because Bobby Wagner is just like the linebacker 1 in my heart forever. But I think this week with Levante David and the Buccaneers playing in San Francisco, I just like that floor for tackles. San Francisco's offense is so efficient. They're on the field. They sustain drives. They're just always churning out first downs, and that's volume is king. And so if we can get San Francisco's offense to continue to get first downs, that's going to give Levante David an opportunity to rack up tackles. So Levante David 1 for me, Wagner 2, and then Tranquil probably a little more distant third.
Yeah, I think I agree with your ranking. I think I have Tranquil probably a little tighter to the bunch. I just really do like the matchup against the Eagles this week. That's a better than top third matchup for me in my mind. But Tampa Bay isn't their matchup against San Francisco. You described it perfectly. Is still very close to in that top third tier for me. So it definitely leans Levante David first. Bobby Wagner is. I mean, I think he's on the Mount Rushmore of IDPs. So it feels gross to even think about benching him. But I get in this discussion. I think it's a pretty good set overall. I have to take a look. I don't know what kind of pass rush work Levante David has been getting this year. Whereas I feel like Drew Tranquil, when he's been on the field, has definitely been getting those opportunities. Yeah, I mean, Levante David's pretty consistently getting somewhere between 5 and 7 pass rush opportunities a week. Whereas Drew Tranquil, it's a little lower actually. Maybe like he's had some boom weeks. Like he's had one game where he had 13 pass rush opportunities when he was a starter. So, I guess yeah, all things considered the same there. I'd probably lean. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Levante David. So Matthew, fire up Levante David this week. Hopefully he takes you home to your victory. Next we got AWOL 4242. Cam Curl, Cam Bynum, Grant Delpit, or Jalen Petre this week. So I got to start because where is it? Here you go. Cam Curl. I'm going to lean Cam Curl, and it's both biased and matchup. So the Washington Commanders getting the New York Giants this week. I know that they have Tommy DeVito back there. So, we talked about the Niners sustaining drives. It's might be likely that the Giants don't necessarily sustain their own drives either. But I think Cam Curl, who's playing a ton of snaps up at the line of scrimmage still, even with some things shifting around with the injuries at the linebacker spot with Cody Barton. I love Cam Curl this week. I think it's a strong tackle floor week. Tommy DeVito is not a great passer, so Curl's not necessarily known as making a bunch of splash plays in the passing game, but this is a week where anything I think can happen in that regard too. So, but behind that, I'd probably go Cam Bynum number 2, a pretty close number 2. Then Delpit and Petre kind of no. Oh, who do they got? Cleveland's got Pittsburgh. Yeah, I think I'd keep Delpit, Petre. I think basically you have them in order there, AWOL. But it's a pretty solid lock for Curl for me. But if you had a strong feeling about Bynum, I wouldn't be against it if you wanted to start him up over Curl, but I'd lean Curl. Who do you have, Jeff?
I really like Bynum as far as like probably the waiver wire pickup of the year. He kind of came out of nowhere in that Viking secondary and just kind of like he's probably near the top or not the top defensive back in many leagues this year, just for consistency and things like that. Kind of the same reason they play Denver this week. So like what Denver offense are we going to get? I like your Curl take just because he's going to be playing a lot near the line of scrimmage. They're kind of decimated at that linebacker spot. Saquon Barkley is going to run the ball maybe like 4,000 times in this game. So I just think that what the Giants offense won't make up for in efficiency, they're going to make up for an opportunity. And I think Curl will benefit from that. So.
Awesome. But yeah, I love the Cam Bynum pickup of the waiver wire ad there. That's definitely what a season he's had. Brian Flores and safety IDP scoring is just I can't think of a better pairing. It's like peanut butter and jelly. So
what's your @ symbol or what's your tag for Twitter? What the late round what?
Late round DB.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
right, man.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I have to buy Cam Curl jerseys, because I don't get a chance to draft him in any of my leagues unless they're like dynasty ones where I can trade for him and lock in on that, because otherwise everyone scoops him up way too early that I'm not going to be drafting him. So, and you can see that from all the Julian Blackmon shares on my rosters. Next one, we got Ben coming in. Same game. Kenneth Murray or Trent McDuffie. Oh, it must be Isaiah McDuffie. I see. Look, I'm just like Trent McDuffie's the best cornerback. So for IDP, but no, Isaiah McDuffie. Let's
I got to
double
lean
check.
Kenneth Murray just because of safety, like display. We don't know for sure if Campbell is for sure out. Walker was trending in the right direction this week to play, and so McDuffie would probably go back to the sideline if
Yep.
Campbell and Walker are both playing, or we know Murray is going to get the snaps and he's going to play. So that's a pretty easy one for me. So I
Yeah,
guess
I
we'll
think
know since it's an early game, but
which is good, right? But yeah, I think I agree with you because Quay Walker was limited participant across the entire week. So I mean, unless there's some sort of major setback at game time, um, I don't see how they don't get him in there. Because yeah, even here there's nope, that was he was talking about Rashawn Gary, no long term concerns. Yeah, you're spot on. I don't see a reason why you'd want to start McDuffie over Kenneth Murray in any of those situations. So, all right. Then from the Black Freak Spot, thanks guys. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. Always appreciate the subs. Yeah, right. Because yeah, Josh always talks about us, right. I think we're like 4 away from 1,000 or something like that. So, um, I look at me. I'm like, what content? Smash that sub button. Smash the like, thumbs up. So.
if you like what you see, hit the link below.
Awesome. Matthew says, thank you. Yep, you bet, Matthew. Thanks for the questions. Thanks for popping in. All right. Next, we got Eric Harms. So pick 2 for a linebacker 3 and flex. We got Jamin Davis, Byron Young, David Long, Jerome Baker, Josie Jewell, Jalen Petre. Awesome. Anything pop off the screen for you immediately that you got to be starting?
Well, for the same reasons that we said Curl was a smash start, I think Davis is a for sure one of these two players.
Yep.
The second one for me would probably be Jewell, just because he's been so efficient and just tackles. And I do think Minnesota runs the ball a lot, either through, maybe Madison this week, maybe Chandler this week, but Dobbs is always going to be
Maybe
running
Dobbs.
the ball. So yeah. So I think Jewell is probably the safest of the remaining players.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm a little bit different from you. I was a big Jewell believer. I mean, for many years before this too, but this year I don't know. He's kind of faded a bit in his usage. I feel like the last few weeks, and I just want to check that out. And whereas you look at someone who Jerome Baker's kind of the opposite story of that, he's been getting a ton of utilization, but he's been very inefficient. However, the Raiders have shown a recent commitment to just continuously throw or hand the ball off to Josh Jacobs and see what happens, which also puts David Long in consideration there as well. But yeah, last week that against Buffalo, Jewell only saw 61% of the snaps, 33 snaps like that. That's I think the part that gives me a little concern. But he still managed to, like you said, super efficient. 33 snaps, he still compiled 6 tackles. So
if we use that as a breaker, does JOK versus Pittsburgh? Because is that an option then as the second guy if we're kind of flipping back and forth between Jewell and Baker? Baker's always been that guy for me. He's like a ton of snaps, but just never produces. And
right, 60 snaps last week, 2 tackles. So right there, I mean, literally the opposite, right? So, gosh, I don't know. This is a tough one. You got me, Eric. You got me stumped. I'm gonna say Jamin Davis is your LB3. I agree there. Man, I even kind of like Byron Young too, though. But it's not an ideal matchup against Seattle. You know what? JOK actually is interesting because I think he's like first or second in linebacker for tackles behind the line of scrimmage too, for tackles for loss. I'm gonna split the difference with you. I like that. Let's go JOK for the flex in a matchup against Pittsburgh. I think I like the splash play upside versus the inconsistency and volume of Jerome Baker and the lack of volume but can be efficient Jose Jewell.
And JOK has been very efficient this year too, not only in tackles but just like scoring and defensive rankings and stuff like that. So he's probably the safest of the 3.
Yep. Nope, I agree. Hopefully that helps you, Eric. Go out there and keep rolling up some W's for
Go
all the Iowa
Hawkeyes! Go
family.
Hawkeyes! Yeah. Ooh.
All right, Matthew got another one for us. L'Jarius Sneed or Deron Bland at quarterback this week. I'd go Sneed because honestly, I am worried what the Carolina Panthers offense can put together on the outside of that offense and what Bland will get. However, I mean, we saw there's a Bryce Young throw 2 touchdowns to Kenny Moore, so I guess he could do it to Ron Bland, who has like, I don't know, he's like 12th in touchdowns this year. If you put him in at wide receiver with his 3 defensive touchdowns, he's ahead of like names like T. Higgins and others like that. So, but no, I just love Snead. I think he's got the better floor. Bland's obviously got the big upside. So it's a matchup against Philadelphia where they're going to be, offenses are going to be firing enough. Snead's gonna have plenty of opportunities. It's for me personally, it's a pretty easy. I'd lean Snead over Bland.
I'm the same. I think game script will play a lot into this one. I don't know what the over under is on that Monday night game between Philly and the Eagles, but I'm going to guess it's pretty high. It's probably one of the higher ones of the week. Whereas Carolina, like you said, just pretty inept on offense, and that game might be over by halftime. So,
right, yeah, it's I don't know what it is. I think the Texans Cardinals have the highest over under, but I'm sure that one's up there. So hopefully that helps you out, Matthew. Brian, come in and pick one: Quay Walker, Ernest Jones, or Jack Sanborn. We were just kind of talking about some of this beforehand before we jumped on and a little bit earlier. So for me, it's Ernest Jones pops out immediately as the clear choice. Quay Walker as a limited participant all week. I'm just nervous that he doesn't go out there and get a full complement of snaps. So I would be hesitant about him. And Jack Sanborn actually, I think, had a did not practice on Friday due to injury. So I would again be concerned about his availability or his just his efficiency as well. Ernest Jones has seemed to gotten a full complement of practice here lately after dealing with some knee injury. So yeah, Ernest Jones would be the starter for me right away.
I'm with you, especially the way that the Rams have been rolling out their defense with really only one linebacker, kind of funneling everything to that position. So yeah, Ernest Jones for me as well.
All right, then Broad Street Bullies, fantasy football: Hassan Reddick or Boye Mafe. Anything pop off on that one for you, Jeff?
Mafe's like on a 5 or 6 game sack streak, so I think he just continues. He's just ever since who went down for them? Who is the guy?
Oh, kind of Nwosu.
Yeah, Nwosu went down, and Mafe just kind of stepped up. He was already playing a ton of snaps before Nwosu went down, but then once he went down, he just became like the centerpiece of that defense. And I think he's at like a 5 or 6 game sack streak. So again, it's hard to sit Reddick, but I think Mafe is just a hot player right now. So I'm gonna ride the streak.
7 games with a full sack. Yeah. And then I mean, you look at even his tackle floor too. Pretty minimal early on in the season, but at week 7, 8 tackles, 6 tackles, 5 tackles, all while compiling a sack in every game. The Rams are a mid-tier matchup. I got them literally like dead center in the middle at 15-16 for ideal matchup for IDP scoring against them. And so when you look at Hassan Reddick, who obviously has been an IDP stud in his own rights, he's someone that been on a nice little tear of his own since week 4, right? 1 sack, 2.5, no sacks in week 7, but then another sack. But the tackle floor is not something that's been contributing there from his perspective. So I probably like Reddick for a little bit of a more, if you're looking for like a boom, if you're like, hey, playing the number 1 team in the league. Hopefully you are the number 1 team in the league, but just in case you're not and you're playing the number 1 team and you need a little bit more of an upside, I could see if you want to inject Reddick into your lineup then to try and shoot for that multi-sack game. I think there's a better opportunity maybe for him there to do that just on talent. But overall, if you're just looking just general consistency, who am I going to start 4 out of 5 times? I think it's going to be Boye Mafe in this, especially because Patrick Mahomes is somehow a literal wizard in the pocket and just almost seemingly never gets sacked. Because the Eagles have a bottom tier matchup against the Chiefs for defensive ends this weekend as well. So yeah, I'm pretty consistently Mafe here, but if you felt like Reddick really gave you that big boom that you need, you can go ahead and slide him into your lineups as well. All right. So Juan has got a question for who wide receiver 1 and 2 in flex spot. Jacoby Myers, Dobbs, Cooper, Lockett, Samuel, Connor, Hunt, Dylan. To me, that's pretty. I'm gonna say Curtis Samuel, Tyler Lockett, and James Conner. Who would you throw out there?
I am going to say Cooper, just because regardless who the quarterback was, I think he was pretty heavily targeted. Lockett didn't practice a lot this week, and he kind of showed he just the hamstring, so I don't know if he's going to be 100%. So he makes me nervous, and he's a late game window, so that makes it even worse. Sorry, rambling. Let's go Cooper, Samuel, and Connor just to be safe. I'm not really positive on Lockett's availability to be 100%, and there's a great chance he could re-injure it on like the first snap of the game, and then you get a goose egg, and it's a 3:00 game, so you're going to be kind of out of luck on that.
That's fair. I just don't like Pete Carroll and his injury reporting. It's like league worst.
He'll be fine. He's a broken leg. He'll be back next week.
Right. It was amputated. Yeah, he can play through that. Juan also was wondering then Aaron Jones, Derrick Henry, or Jalen Warren. I'd go Warren. I just like what I think he's consistently, but Jones would be a pretty close second option for me.
Yep, agree.
Eric, a whole bunch of meh after Davis. Yeah, you're not wrong there. But it was a good mid discussion, so we got through that one. Appreciate you as always, Eric.
That's the kind of discussions though you have this time. It's week 11. Injuries are crazy for every team. We've got 4 teams on a bye. You have a lot of those decisions, those coin flip decisions, and you're going to have those meh like the guys to start. But the good thing is you're going up against lineups that are probably meh as well. So.
Exactly. All right. Kyle's got one here. Quay, Blankenship, or Cam Curl in the flex. I'm gonna lean Curl. That's just where I'm at. So I think Quay would be the clear one to go with if I was confident. Like if he'd gotten a full practice in on Friday, I would say Quay. The fact that he got 3 limited still and just been battling this injury for a little bit, I'm hesitant to give a full vote of confidence, especially like I said earlier, Curl for me is in a top 5 matchup scoring wise for his position against the Giants. Blankenship's a good option too. So for me, like I said, Curl pretty easily the choice. Quay, Blankenship, I'd be a splitting hairs for me as the second option.
I'm with you. Blankenship has been a great story this year as well, but it's going to be hard. You start your studs. I mean, Curl's been kind of a set it and forget it kind of player for a couple seasons now. And, he's coming off like a 11 tackle performance last week. There's no reason that this week he can't duplicate that.
Yep. All right. Compliment from Eric. Thanks. You guys are great. We fooled you. Good work by us. Eric, then Preston Smith versus the Chargers, Jermaine Johnson versus Buffalo, or Leonard Floyd versus the Jets. Oof. Anything pop to you? I'm thinking on this one here.
I have been a Jermaine Johnson fan since before the season. We were doing our preseason write-ups, and he was just a guy that kind of stood out to me as an opportunity. He's had great success over the last couple of weeks playing Buffalo. I think just kind of reading the tea leaves, like I think squeaky wheel gets the grease this week, and I think Diggs is going to kind of have a big week, which means Allen is going to have to hold on the ball a little bit longer, and I think that's going to give Johnson a chance to get home.
Yeah. So Johnson stands off the page immediately, name talent wise for me. Leonard Floyd, I thought might be a better matchup, but I think it's really probably more the interior. I don't know. It's not really ideal across the line for IDP scoring for defensive tackles or defensive ends this week. Oh wait, no, I'm looking at the wrong one. That's because Floyd is on the chart. No, he's on the Bills. So
yeah, all these matchups are bottom half matchups between the Chargers.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bills defensive tackles have a better matchup. So that's usually where the Jets struggle is the interior of their offensive line. At the tackle spots and on the outside, the scoring isn't as great against the Jets. So yeah, it is a bottom one. So I'd probably lean just Jermaine Johnson based on talent there. Preston Smith for the Packers. It is an ideal matchup against the Chargers. It's a top, actually third matchup in my rankings for defensive ends against the Chargers. So I'd still go Jermaine. I'd go Johnson, Smith, Floyd would be my choices in that order. Maybe Smith has a slightly safer floor, but I just like the upside that Jermaine Johnson brings. He's in a room full of talent at the edge rushing position. He's really stood out there, which is saying something. So, and then hopefully, Quentin Williams will leave some scraps for him after he decimates everything that he's going to do in the interior there. All right, then Office Depot morning PPR flex Schultz or Pickens, Dalton Schultz. I'd go Schultz. I'm a Texans fan, so probably some bias there, but they've been on a heater. Noah Brown's likely out this week. It's the highest over under the week. Pickens is 2 up and down for me, so yeah, Schultz pretty easily.
Yep, same.
Awesome. And then he says he's going to fire us an IDP question right now, and he did. Boye Mafe or Jalen Carter. Mafe, we talked about a little earlier, talking about being on a heater, right, with the Texans. Mafe is definitely on one. Carter is slicing through the interior of defensive lines like a hot knife through butter, but he's still kind of rotational with everyone that they got there, which I think is what helps make them be so effective in their snaps or efficient with their snaps. But I don't like the fact that, sometimes they're only seeing 20 something snaps a game. Last week he did see 51. I still the floor still to me is Mafe and upside. So yeah, I'd go with Mafe.
Yep. Ride the streak. Don't leave the table on you're on a heater.
Right. That's right. Josh coming in to represent some of the brand here. Thank you, Josh. Zach was also wondering KZ or Nixon. Ooh, that's a good one. With Fitzpatrick out and Neal both out this week.
Neal they actually put on IR. So
that's right.
Kazi is going to be a waiver wire pickup this week. I have no doubt. That Steelers defense has just they're like Washington as far as being decimated with injuries and stuff like that. I just see a really high floor for Kazi. He's been playing a little bit of that slot cornerback spot too. So he's playing close to the line of scrimmage, which I know you really love.
Yep.
I just think that his floor is much higher and safer than Nixon's is this week.
Yep. Nope. I would agree with that. So yeah, unless it's something where you get some outstanding scoring bonus for kick returns or something. Yeah, I think KZ is who you got to go with. Kazi, I don't even know how you say that one. I hopefully I'm good.
Yeah.
Kazi, is that it? Okay,
I'll get it by Monday night. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, there you go. So, and that's hey, if you guys aren't already, hopefully you should be checking out. Jeff's got a weekly waiver article with the IDPshow.com. So get over there and gets subbed up with them, and you can get information like that because that's crazy, right? Because that's when you need that information. You need to get that stuff in on your waiver wire, get your bids and everything. So having that information immediately Monday night is huge. So you guys should be checking out Jeff in that if you're not already. Mr. R, because I'm gonna murder your name if I try to pronounce that there. So Rogaru, I don't know. But anyways, Landon Roberts or Eric Kendricks. We talked, I think, Landon Roberts and Kenneth Murray earlier at the start here. So I think we both ended up on Roberts' side pretty easily. I thought, in terms of Roberts had a much better floor, and Murray maybe had a little bit better upside. But so I like Roberts in terms of a floor this week, and so that stays the same there. When Eric Kendricks alongside Kenneth Murray in a bottom matchup overall. So yeah, a Landon Roberts.
Kendricks has been kind of a fade for me ever since he left Minnesota. Like his coverage skills were fading in Minnesota, and I think that's some of the reason that in the contract was some of the reason they were so quick to let him go. And so he's only played 390 snaps this season, so he's been coming off the field. I know he's been dinged up a little bit, but yeah, I'm leaning Roberts here. So
yep. Okay, then Brenton, choose two from Mafe, Hutchinson, and Josh Allen. Jeff.
It's hard. Obviously, we're a big fan of Mafe this morning, apparently. So we're gonna keep him going. Um, Hutchinson versus the Bears or Josh Allen versus San Francisco. I'm going to lean Josh Allen just because I think San Francisco has a better chance of sustaining a little more drives and maybe giving a little more of a chance. Um, the Bears are kind of a mess right now with everything going on. I don't think that their offense is going to be clicking game one with Fields coming back. So,
Yeah, I love Mafia here. Oh, I feel like Allen is probably so a little bit of like roster construction again here. If you want like big upside, like that multi sack, I think Josh Allen might be the one to play there. Um,
I'm sorry, they're not. Jacksonville's not playing. They're playing
yeah, they're playing.
Tennessee.
Yeah, they're playing the Tennessee, and they got a pretty favorable matchup on that offensive line.
Yep.
But Josh Allen still, even in some matchups, seems to disappear at times. So
Big division game though.
yeah, no, I'm gonna go Mafe Allen. I'm a huge Aiden Hutchinson fan, so have him in many of my lineups this week, regardless. But I don't have the opportunity to put in Josh Allen over him. So
You are a big Hutchinson fan. Just before the show started, you had the big eye black stripe going down your eye. We had to take it off. So
that's yeah, right. Aiden Clutchinson, man. I gotta show up just like him sometimes. All right. Then Office Depot, the stream call says, love you. Hey, glad you were able to hop in, Office Depot. Love having people in here. Love all the questions, chopping it up with you guys. So yeah, hopefully we'll be here every week, Sunday morning. So come back next week and check us out again. Brendan Smith, Puka or Garrett Wilson, half PPR. Puka.
with Stafford back, I like Puka. I think
Yeah.
he's higher floor. I know Garrett Wilson's impossible to sit, but
Jets versus Bills. Bills are not a. I'm gonna go Garrett Wilson. I love the way he's been peppered with targets. So I know Puka and Kupp see actually strong target shares on their own rights when they're both in there with Stafford. But I'm gonna lean Garrett Wilson. I just think he gets a little bit better floor target wise, and I think he can turn that into something this week. That's more gut than analysis. So. All right. Jesse, good morning. Casey Toohill or Joe Tryon-Schwenka. All right, now we're getting into the depths here. This is the kind of muck I like to try to walk through. All right. Man, oh man. So for me, Casey Toohill has done a nice job of converting his limited opportunities into solid IDP production for us. Washington has the Giants on the edge. That is a matchup to attack. They're going to limit what DeVito does, and they have been doing that. So I like Toohill. That's a solid one. And Tampa Bay has the Niners. Yeah, I'd go. Actually, I think I'm going to lean Toohill here. And I was a little bit in on Joe Tryon-Schwenka coming into the year, and he's managed to put together some things with that. But yeah, this week it's Toohill. It's mostly the matchup that's going to push it over for me.
Yeah, I agree. I know that we were big fans of Stranka to start the season, and he's had his spike weeks. You know, he's more of a best ball kind of play. But no, I like the Casey Toohill start this week. These are the kind of questions we love too. The super deep, like gnarly roasts, guys that most leagues don't even think about. So keep them coming.
You don't even feel good putting them in your lineup, but you have to at some point here. So like you said, week 11, all these injuries. Oh, all right. Office Depot. Excuse me. Pick 2 flexes. Josh Metellus, David Long, Dennis Gardeck, Isaiah McDuffie, and AJ Epinesa. Metellus pops off the page for me immediately based on his utilization. I mean, he's essentially playing as that linebacker too. And, you know, with Jordan Hicks out and now having rookie Ivan Pace step in seemingly as the next man up, Metellus being the veteran, I don't wonder if, they find a way, maybe he's got the green dot or, what they're doing and they just find a way to keep him even more so around the line of scrimmage to kind of help make sure the defense is set and everything. So that's more speculation than anything. I haven't seen any reports on this, but just looking at what that situation in Minnesota looks like, to me, it's clearly Metellus is number 1 out of this flex group. I don't know. Does anyone stand out for you for number 2?
Without knowing the exact scoring, tackle heavy leagues, I would probably lean David Long, but
Yeah.
like sack or big play leagues, I'd probably lean Gardeck. Just he's been kind of on a little bit of a streak, and that Arizona team has just kind of lifted ever since Kyler Murray came back, and they were playing really inspired ball last week. And he had a sack last week.
Yep.
He had 5 tackles the previous week, so he's been kind of, depending on scoring. If it's a tackle heavy league, I'm leaning David Long, but if it's a big splash play kind of league, rewards for tackle for losses and sacks, I'm leaning Gardeck.
I think I'm with you. I'm just looking here.
I was looking at Epinesa, but
Yep.
that whole Buffalo rotation is just so tough to figure out. Like, Rousseau is one of my guys to fade last week, and he finally popped off after like 4 or 5 weeks of just being kind of, to take Eric's word, meh, and now we've got, Rousseau had a good game. Von Miller's kind of in the mix. They've kind of got this like just heavy rotation, and it's just kind of not knowing who to start from week to week. So I'm going to lean Metellus and Gardeck.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. Houston's offensive line on the season has been one that you want to attack from the edge position, but it's actually gotten slightly better with some people returning from injury over the last 4 or 5 weeks. Buffalo's not exactly an ideal matchup. Again, I think here you lean that's a high over under, so you assume more passing opportunities, more plays ran, and I think I'm with you with Gardeck. I definitely was considering Epinesa, but yeah, the matchup I think dictates otherwise. So Metellus, Metellus is locked in. David Long, if you're super tackle heavy, Gardeck would probably be the other option. Then after that, just maybe in more balanced scoring or big play scoring. We should get Aiden Clutchinson, don't we all? Everyone needs a little Aiden Clutchinson in their life. That's just a simple fact.
Just Office Depot. Just also, if we hear anything in the next like hour or so that either Walker or Devontae Campbell are out, then McDuffie would slide into that spot pretty easy. So just watch for about the next hour when it's
always 90 minutes before kickoff usually is what they target, right? So that'd be 10:30, 10:45. Start looking for inactives, and obviously Ian Rappaport's not going to be reporting about the LB2 on the Green Bay Packers. So you might have to do a little digging, but yeah.
Schefter just texted me, so
I saw you look down, so
yeah,
I assumed
I was just reading that.
But yeah. Oh shoot! All right. John's wondering half PPR start to Singletary, Collins, Connor, Sutton. Singletary, Connor probably is your best floor. Nico Collins coming off an injury, calf. I've been reading some definitely production dip concerns, so I like Singletary, Connor pretty easily as floor plays. If you wanted to take Connor out because the pass work wasn't there coming back yet, and you wanted to shoot for touchdown upside with Collins or Sutton, to me, you're splitting hairs. So Singletary for sure. And then if you're, hey, I don't want 2 guys from the same offense, then I'd go just Sutton if you don't want to go Connor. So talk through it pretty quick. Hopefully that makes sense. I don't know, Jeff, any additional thoughts?
Nope. I like your call with the 2 running backs. It's hard to sit a running back in a flex option. If you ever have that, I think that's just the way to go. It's much more
especially when Singletary is going to, Pierce is out, so he's likely to see 20, 25 opportunities. Connor saw 16 back from coming off IR, 0 targets though, which is the downside, but he still had 16 carries immediately. So yeah, I think that offense will get going again with Murray back. So yeah, Singletary, Connor.
And they're playing the same game, so that game should be pretty
highest
scoring floor too. So you're looking at your scoring points every time in that game. So.
All right, Jesse. Yeah, my league is super deep. Would you start John Franklin Myers over Hill and Tryon? Jets got the Bills.
Isn't Franklin like one of the highest win rates or rush rate or something?
Yep, I like him a lot. It's not an ideal matchup either. I think we talked about, but I mean, yeah, I would go Franklin Myers over both of them. I think you're starting talent over matchup. So. I don't know. Anything you'd add to that one, Jeff?
No, I was just kind of quickly looking up. He's got Franklin Myers has very good pass rushing grades. He's got really good defensive grades. He's probably playing
he's averaging a pressure on almost 20% of his snaps. So I mean, 1 out of every 5 snaps he's creating a pressure in the backfield this season. And I mean, and that's kind of the level he's played on in the past too. So I mean,
Right.
yeah, I'd go John Franklin Myers.
Yeah, they got a healthy rotation between Jermaine Johnson, Huff, and him. They're putting a lot of pressure on the opposing quarterback. So,
yep, yeah, because he says Tuhill and JFM both out on waivers. Yeah, I would roster JFM over JTS. So,
and that's tough for you to say because you were a huge Stranka fan to start the season. So,
like you said, man, you got to get in the muck sometimes. Even in the off season, you got to start. So, all right, Snake Eyes, Orlando Roberts or Kayvon Thibodeau. Giants. Who do the Giants have again? I always forget these things. I should probably have memorized the Commanders.
Giants.
That's Thibodeau for me. Pretty easy, I think. Unless you're super depressed, sack scoring. I know Roberts has got a really great floor this week in his matchup and in his role, but Thibodeau is one of those defensive ends who's actually playing gosh darn near like 80-90%, and that's pretty rare. You pair that with his upside in terms of what he can produce in the pass rush game. To me, it's Thibodeau pretty easily.
Depending on what you need this week, if you need like a huge home run, Thibodeau is your guy. But if you need some safe points, I'm going to go Roberts just because Thibodeau's had 4 or 5 out of his last 6 games have been kind of clunkers. He had a 1-3 sack game against the Jets.
Yep.
But outside of that, he had like 0 tackles last week. I know he got kind of dinged up and he was kind of like limited, but he had 1 tackle the week before. He's just kind of had some really, Eric's got the word of the week, meh games. So depending on what you need, like if you need a home run, Thibodeau is your guy. But if you just need some safe points, maybe lean Roberts.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good call, Jeff. I appreciate that. I like it. But I mean, look at this snap percentages this year: 72, 92, 87, 82, 92, 92, 99, 97, 85, and then 51. Like you said, he got dinged up last week. So a defensive lineman who's playing 90% plus snaps, like Max Crosby-esque. Like, I don't know. That's just.
But he hasn't done anything with it. He hasn't done anything, though. He's like,
he's got 8.5 sacks. I get a third of that came in one game. You're absolutely right in calling that out. But the last time he played Washington, he had a sack and a half, 4 tackles, 2 quarterback hits. So played 99% of the snaps. So I'm with you. Hey, it's good. I like having a little discourse here, but I don't know. I like to shoot for upside. That's just kind of my style too. But I get it if you're in a matchup where just got to get the points right. Roberts is definitely a great call. All right. Office Depot. That was awesome feedback. Thank you, Gardick. It is eyes on Walker and Campbell. Appreciate it. Sheffy's on it. That's right. That's Jeff Schefter. That was all. That's our guy.
No spreading rumors. Let's not get. I've never seen Schefter and myself in the same room at the same time.
Oh, I love it. All right. Well, that's all that we've got from the group right now. So, I guess Jeff, is there anything just this week that you're really excited about that you wanted to call out for the team?
As far as like matchups this week, I really like Jaquan Brisker this week for the Bears, playing against the Detroit Lions. He's got a great matchup. Detroit's a team that just is very opportunistic for opposing safeties. So I like him, especially with Tremaine Edmonds kind of coming back possibly from an injury this week, kind of dinged up. Jack Sanborn's kind of dinged up. So he very easily could end up playing a lot of like a linebacker role this week. So I think, outside of a handful of safeties, I think he's an auto start, at least a flex option for many teams. So I'm expecting Brisker to have like top 5 numbers this week.
I like it. It makes a ton of sense. So that's awesome. Awesome. Great. Well, you know what? The chat's died down here a little bit. I guess, Jeff, I don't know if you just want to plug anything that you're working on then. I think we might be wrapping up here in a little bit.
Sure. Well, like you mentioned, I do have my waiver wire article that comes out on Monday. Usually there's, a couple defensive linemen, a couple safeties, some linebackers and things like that. Also available, just kind of do those, like the would you rather, who you need this guy or that guy. It doesn't have to wait till Sunday morning. Just hit me up on the X or Twitter or whatever it's called this week, and be happy to help. Oh, got another one here.
All right. Yeah, Jesse popped in, said, Yeah, Diaby from the Bucks. Is he starting to eat into JTS snaps? I definitely think a little bit he is. I mean, but I don't think it's anything more than what we've seen so far this season. So it's not something where, I don't. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka isn't someone that I'm excited to be firing up and putting out there a ton. Um, he's been more of a volume play. Someone obviously was a first round draft capital investment, but yeah, I mean, Diaby's probably more of a taxi squad type player at this point. I mean, with an injury, he could definitely be thrust into a huge role. But yeah, I like what Diaby's done. He was a good talent coming out, but I think he's kind of in that same vein as JTS at this point. Like he just needs some growth, needs some direction. I don't know that JTS is going to hit that for us. He was, like I said, volume play this season. Yeah, I don't know. Any different thoughts, Jeff, or something to add?
Nope. Totally agree.
All right. Then Ryan Hayboy ranked these linebackers, and those linebackers would be Terrell Bernard, Blake Cashman, TJ Watt. So I'm sorry to hear that TJ Watt's a linebacker in your league. Definitely should be some sort of edge or dual designation set up there personally. End rant quickly. But man, if you, it's close
Depends on
between Watt
scoring.
and Bernard. Yeah. I I'd go. I'm gonna go Watt, Bernard, Cashman, and it's actually pretty close across the board. I tend to shoot for upside. I think Watt can do that against a DTR, Dorian Thompson Robinson this week for the Browns, who's starting. He's just a younger quarterback, going to hold on to the ball more and/or look to run right away. And Watt is athletic and capable enough, and makes some special plays like that. Where uh, I'm 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 counting on him getting a sack this week against DTR. Bernard it's a good matchup, I think, overall for them this week in terms of linebacker scoring against the Jets. They Zach Wilson doesn't attack much outside the middle of the field, and Bernard's just going to be piling up stats there. Cashman's another great one with Perryman getting suspended too, so they're all pretty close, but it's a very narrow Watt, Bernard, Cashman for me in that order.
Same, I agree. The only thing that would make me pause a little bit would be Cashman this week. Did Tua get hurt, or was he going to be limited? Because if he is, Cashman might be a sneaky play this week just with volume of snaps.
You said Bernard was limited in practice?
No, Henry Tua.
Oh, okay.
I thought
Yeah,
I saw.
I thought he was a full go by end of week. Maybe I'm.
Yeah, I thought
Oh
I
no,
saw
you're
that
right.
he was
No, you're
out.
right.
He's
No,
okay.
it's concussion. Yeah, he's out. You're right. Nope, I'm
Yeah.
thinking the wrong thing. So, yeah, who was it? Singleton they were bringing in then? Corey Singleton. I saw the report. Now
Corey
I'm blanking.
Littleton.
Thank you.
Yeah, he was going to play the strong side. Yeah. So no, the only thing with like Cashman, like that might be just a volume kind of thing right there when he's with Arizona. If they're gonna be on the field quite a bit, that'll be a high scoring game. A lot of volume there.
Yeah. I don't think it's a bad pick either way. It's a good troublesome position to be in. But yeah, we got JNF small chili, so full PPR Monty Robinson Singletary, probably Singletary, and I don't know which Robinson that is. If it's Brian Robinson, he's a smash play. Bijan is Atlanta's on bye, so it can't be Bijan. So it's probably Brian. I'd go Singletary, Brian Robinson.
Hopefully, it's not Allen Robinson.
Start Jake Elliott instead. Then if it's Allen Robinson. All right. Landon Roberts and Devondre Campbell. This is from Ryan, so I don't know if that's in addition to, or for just. For this week, Landon Roberts is probably slightly over Devondre Campbell, but Campbell rest of season I think pretty easily because Campbell is more matchup proof. But Roberts just has such a smash matchup this week while Campbell's on such a down one. And then obviously Quay Walker can come in and eat away at those snaps if he gets back to his green dot role.
And Campbell hasn't been playing a full complement of snaps. Either he's been kind of, I don't know, he's a lower leg injury and it's been kind of limited. Although he's played, he's been 60 or 50 snaps per game last few weeks. He did have that 10 tackle game against Minnesota, but then in the last few weeks it's been two tackles. So it's not 2 solos, excuse me. So Yeah, I would fire up Campbell. I'm in on Campbell this week, even in a bad matchup. I think Eckler's gonna run the ball a ton. You can beat Green Bay on the ground. So
This is coming from the Packers fans, folks.
I'm here. That doesn't. Yeah.
Ryan says thanks, and says agreed with Watt on edge. That's right. Get in the commissioner's ear. Tell him Jake and Jeff said so.
We approve this message.
Yep, 2020 is out. Move over to Sleeper. Sleeper's a great platform too. Yep, keeps those things rolling. Yep, concussion. Cashman starting. Right on. Glad I recently found it. Yeah, glad you guys found us too. Sorry, mobile was all 5. Oh, okay. Oh, I can start 3. Oh, so we got to pick 3 out of his. So that was pick 3 out of Roberts, Campbell, Bernard, Cashman, Watt.
Oof.
I'm gonna go Watt, Bernard, Roberts. No, I'm gonna go Cashman. The first 3 you had. Roberts and Campbell would be on the outside looking, and I think we'd both agree Roberts and Campbell would be close, fighting for getting into that 3rd spot. But yeah, I think Bernard, Cashman, Watt is what you want in that spot there, and those 3, Ryan.
Yeah, it's tough to sit Campbell, but I think Cashman, I think with the other linebackers being gone this week, I think he's just going to be a smash volume play. So.
Yep. Ooh, we got a tough one here. Jesse, do you guys have any deep league stashes that we should target for playoffs or next year? That is a great question, Jesse. I think at this point I don't have a really good answer for that. I can definitely dig into that a little bit this week, and then when we come back next week, if you want to jump on, then I'll try and have some answers there. This next week is usually the time that I start to dig into playoff matchups and kind of like who's got some stuff there and who's going to be viable for that. But as far as just general stashes for the playoffs, just really sincerely, I mean, not just because he's here and he's an amazing person, but Jeff's waiver wire, man. He's going to get you ahead of the curve on who's trending in the right directions, who's not, and who you should be adding to your lineups. And then those ads are not just for this week, but it is for the rest of the season. And as far as dynasty stuff goes, I wouldn't be worrying about stashing dynasty assets from IDP in terms of defensive backs, as my handle implies. Late round DBs, you're always going to be able to find value there. If you wanted to start looking at maybe some of those rookie edge rushers that are coming on late now, like a BJ Ojolari is someone who is good draft capital, who's finally getting an opportunity and starting to make something out of it. He would be a really good choice. That's one that pops to the top of my mind. Derek Hall might be another one that's to pay attention to. I wouldn't know that I'd be going to roster him right now. But just again, a torn pec is a pretty serious injury for a defensive lineman. And that's what Nuosu suffered. So Hall might be someone who's in for something here for the playoffs and into next year. But and not to try and keep plugging the brand too much either, but I know Adam on the IDPshow.com has, when you're sub to them, he has a pretty in-depth dynasty rankings for all the IDP positions. And so he goes pretty far down that rabbit hole, and you could have some stuff there too, a more comprehensive list. But yeah, I'll try to put together some thoughts there. So I rambled a lot, Jeff. I don't know if you want to add anything different or more there.
Just some guys that I kind of like this year now going forward. Jordan Battle, defensive back for the Bengals. He's kind of supplanted himself as like the now starter after this last week. I think Nick Scott is a guy that's just going to be just a guy who was there, and now all of a sudden, like with Cincinnati's season kind of in the tank with Burrow being gone, I think they just want to roll out some younger guys and see what they have going into next season. And I think Battle is going to be the part of that secondary with Jesse Bates kind of going forward. So I think he's the guy there. So, and I do like the Ojolari call. He was on my article last week, finally getting some snaps. He finally is healthy. He had kind of a knee injury into the preseason. Took him a while to get up to speed. So he's definitely a guy to roster. And
nice. All right. Ryan says, nice. Let's go lined up. And then Jesse says, just pick. There you go. Already on Ojolari. Yep. Looking to haul. So like I said, we'll try to get some more feedback next week. All right, everyone. Well, I hate to wrap it up at this point, but I got to, otherwise the wife will get mad that I'm not helping with cleaning. So we got friends coming over in a little bit for football. But yeah, thank you everyone for jumping in here to the IDP show live, start sit Q&A. Appreciate having everyone out here. Appreciate all the questions. Especially appreciate Jeff for joining us this week. Thank you so much, Jeff. Jeff, has been great to get to work with you again. We did a lot of keep trade cut stuff during the off season. We did a lot of the rookie content. It was awesome. I missed this. We need to get you back on here again soon, sir.
Always. It's been a pleasure, my friend.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Thank you everyone. Good luck this week in week 11. Have a good one.